Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for First Class Holidays Around the World Week. We're excited to have you with us as we celebrate over 30 years of unforgettable journeys and showcase incredible destinations and trusted supplier partners that make it all possible. This week is all about inspiration, connection, and highlighting the very best of what First Class Holidays has to offer. I'm now going to hand over to Deb from Wire Representation. Please note, this session is pre-recorded, but if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat box and we'll do our best to answer them all. If you need anything else, feel free to reach out to us at sales@fcholidays.com. Enjoy the session.
Thanks, Ali. So as Ali said, my name is Deb and I'm from Wire Representation, and I'm going to run through a short webinar presentation on my amazing clients. So I have 3 clients I'm going to talk about today. We're going to start off in South Australia, and I'm going to talk about Barossa Shrad Estate and Rawnsley Park Station. South Australia is shown on the map here. I'm sure you all know where it is, but we're down here in South Australia. So your clients will be flying into Adelaide and then coming to the Barossa Valley and the Flinders. And then my second client I'm going to talk about today is over in the state of Queensland on the east coast, just 90 minutes north of Brisbane. We're going to be going up to Noosa. So we're going to start our journey in South Australia, and on the screen here you can see the lovely couple, Julie and Tony Smith, who own both properties. So the properties combined together to make a really fabulous road trip, and you can pick this up in First Class Holidays. The team there can help you with it. So just to zoom in a little bit more, just so you know where we're talking about, as I mentioned, we're in the state of South Australia. You're flying your clients into Adelaide, and then up to the Barossa Valley, and then continuing up north into the beginning of the outback and into the Flinders Ranges. So just so you can get your bearings on where in Australia we're talking about. So you may be knowledgeable about Barossa Valley. It is probably the oldest and most famous wine region in Australia. It's where lots of the red wines come from that we see in our supermarkets and on our shelves over here. So Penfolds, Wolf Bass, Jacob Creek, they all are produced here in the Barossa Valley. The region's got over 80 cellar doors to visit. It's also a mecca for sort of artisans and lots of craft centres, as well as farm gates and very cute restaurants. So it's an absolutely fabulous area for your clients to visit when they're in South Australia. There's lots of other things they can do alongside wine tasting. There's distilleries, there's breweries, helicopter flights, lots of things for clients to do. So our property, the Barossa Shrad Estate, is a collection of 6 cottages. They're offering secluded, luxury, private accommodation right in the heart of a vineyard, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. If you look to the right-hand side, again, I've just popped in a map to give you a little bit more of an idea of where we're located. So we're just 1 hour on the express highway from Adelaide Airport. So literally arriving in Adelaide Airport, we'd suggest your clients collect a hire car and then they can motor on up to the Barossa Shrad Estate, which is just outside a small town called Lyndoch. There's also another larger town, Gawler, which is around a 17-minute drive away. Now, First Class Holidays can either help you book just the accommodation only for your clients, or they can book it as part of a package. So there are packages available that include private transfers and wine tours. Or your clients could just collect a car, as I said, or take a taxi from the airport. Now, there are 6 cottages in the Barossa Shrad Estate, and they come in configurations from 1 bedroom, 1 bath, up to 3 bedrooms and 2 bathroom cottages. And you can see from the picture here, although they're nestled together in the middle of this vineyard, they all have their own private outdoor space, and they're all sort of like unique and slightly different. But the interiors of the cottages are all beautifully designed, sort of modern, contemporary interiors. And as I said, they've all got some outdoor space. So no matter what time of year you're in the Barossa Valley, whether you're there at the moment, which is their winter time, you can snuggle up inside. They've got log burning stoves, come back to the cottage after a day's wine tasting, and enjoy maybe some cheese and wine in your cottage, for example, or during the summer months, maybe have a barbecue outside. Now, our luxury accommodation runs on a bed and breakfast basis. Your guests are greeted by our manager upon their arrival, checked into the cottage, presented with a complimentary bottle of wine and also cheeses, and then fresh continental breakfast provisions are delivered daily to the cottages. They all have Wi-Fi, air conditioning, washing machines, so it's very much a home from home environment. We've also got e-bikes on the property that people can take out. There are wineries and therefore tasting rooms within walking distance, and also restaurants within walking distance. I mentioned our nearby town, Lyndoch. It's 3 minutes in a car, but you can also walk it. There's actually a lovely wine trail through the vineyards that you can walk. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes. We're now going to continue our journey, as I showed you on the map, north of the Barossa Valley up to our second property, which is Hornsey Park Station. Now, this is an opportunity for your clients to experience staying on a working sheep station in the outback. Now, this property is nestled literally at the foot of the Flinders Ranges and the Flinders Ikara National Park. And you can see from the screen, this is where you start getting that rugged outback terrain, the purple mountains, the red earth. It's the beginning of the outback. So if your clients have got a yearning to experience the outback, but maybe don't want to have the additional cost of a flight to Uluru, coming up to the Flinders Ranges can offer a similar experience in terms of rock formations and that red earth. Some of the geology, some of the rocks and sediment can be dated back to the beginning of time. We're just about to have a new UNESCO World Heritage site announced in the area next year, which is exciting. It's also an absolute haven for wildlife. So not only are your clients going to see emus, echidnas, kangaroos, a lot of sheep, it's a sheep station, they're also going to see guys like this one here on the left-hand side of the screen. This is the yellow-footed rock wallaby, and he's actually really rare, and he can only be really found in certain areas of South Australia. So people are going to come up here because they want to experience that amazing terrain. They may be interested in hiking, walking. There's also a lot of other tours available, four-wheel drive tours and scenic flights. So there's loads to do up here and get involved in. So to tell you a little bit more about the location, if your clients are coming into Adelaide and they want to drive up to Hornsey Park Station, it's about a 4.5-hour drive. Obviously, if they've stayed with us in the Barossa Valley, they've already done some of that journey. It's about 4 hours up from the Barossa Valley. It's sealed roads all the way there, and you pass through many small towns. And it's actually really interesting and fascinating to see some of these sort of towns that are very remote and to stop at them. So there's lots of places that your clients can stop. So if they arrive in Adelaide, they can stop somewhere for lunch, for example, and arrive in Hornsey in the early afternoon. There's also a domestic flight with Qantas that goes to an airport called Whyalla, which is 3 hours away from Hornsey Park Station. If your clients really don't want to self-drive it, then that could be an option, and we can transfer them into the property. The footprint of the property is absolutely huge. Julie and Tony own 47 square miles. You can see it marked on this map here. And the property sits in a valley with the Chase Ranges on one side and then the Ikara Flinders National Park on the other side. So it's absolutely vast. And we've got facilities, barbecue facilities, swimming pools. We have a little shop on site, and we've also got a restaurant. And I'll tell you a little bit more about those facilities now. So accommodation at Hornsey Park Station, we've got 3 types of accommodation. We have superior holiday units, shown here on the left. We have luxury eco villas, and we also have a luxury homestead available for people to stay in. So if we start off with our superior holiday units, these come in 1 and 2 bedroom configuration. They've got king size beds, they've got ensuite bathrooms, fully equipped kitchens, and they operate again on that bed and breakfast basis. The superior holiday units share a swimming pool and also have shared barbecue facilities, which is quite fun. You can get to know some of your neighbours. So really lovely accommodation for maybe the more budget conscious traveller. For clients who have a larger budget, then I definitely recommend staying in our either 1 or 2 bedroomed eco villas. Now, these have all been placed at different places around the property so that they're completely secluded, and they have amazing verandas that wrap right the way around them, so you can literally watch the sunrise on one side and the sunset on the other. They are eco-certificated. You can see some of the reclaimed timber, wood and sort of steel that's been used in the building of these properties here. And you can just see the sort of standard of the decor. One of their big USPs is they have these retractable night lights that you can pull back at night, and you can just stargaze from your bed, which is rather fabulous. They have barbecues on their verandas, so you can get a barbecue pack delivered into your villa whilst you're out on a day tour and come back and cook in the evening. They've also got full kitchen facilities, and I think, as I mentioned, we provide fresh daily breakfast provisions. The eco villas, the 8 eco villas share a swimming pool, so that's a perfect place to go for a nice cooling dip at the end of the day when you've been out on a full day 4-wheel drive tour. The luxury homestead is the original property that was on the site. It's 2 bedrooms and 2 ensuite bathrooms with its own private pool, garden, barbecue facilities and fire pit. Now this is located 3 kilometres away from the main sort of centre or the main office, so it is pretty secluded, but it's an amazing location, and for those clients that really want ultimate luxury to get away from everything, this could be a great option for them. I mentioned our on-site restaurant, the Woolshed Restaurant. This is open for dinner every evening. It serves a modern Australian cuisine. They do lamb tasting dinners, but they also cater from vegans and everything in between. They serve some amazing wine from the Barossa and the Clare Valleys, as well as beers. They have a log burning stove. It's really nice and cozy in the winter, but never really gets that cold there. And they have a lovely veranda and doors that open up in the summertime. Now, I mentioned there's lots to do up at Hornsey Park Station. There's not enough time to fit it all in, but we do a variety of 4-wheel drive tours. So you can see our vehicle there in the middle with one of our guides. So we do some great full day tours, which will go out literally for 8 hours of the day. They'll take in the disused copper mines. They'll take in the Ichra Flinders National Park. They'll go to Wilpena Pound, which is the natural amphitheatre. They'll spot the Aboriginal rock art and take you to the Wadman Centre to talk to the Indigenous people. And they'll also stop and look at a lot of flora and fauna and rocks along the way. They are amazing tours. You're only in that vehicle for about 15 minutes maximum, and they include lunch at a local hotel. And then there's a variety of half-day tours based on that main tour that people can take. We've also got a helipad at the property and also a landing strip. So we do a lot of helicopter tours between the winter months of March to October. So there's heli hiking, there's heli camping where you can sleep out in a swag, and there's also a lot of helicopter scenic flights. So you can go up 15, 30 minutes. And then alongside that, we also year-round run our scenic flights, which are fixed wing planes. And again, you can book an early morning 15 or 30-minute scenic flight, or a longer flight you can take in Lake Eyre, for example, which is quite distant up towards the Northern Territory from the property. But rather like when you go to Uluru, it's getting up into the sky and looking down, you really see the majesty of the landscape. And I mentioned Wilpena Pound, this significant landscape or mountain or natural amphitheatre, which had real significance to the Aboriginal people. We have self-guided hiking trails, so your clients can just collect a map and some walking poles from our main office, and they can go off and do some of our self-guided walking trails, or they can join a variety of guided walks as well, so they can learn about the flora, the fauna, the animals and the rock. And we do a great evening tour, which is just this one over here on the right. We do a great tour, which is a 20-minute 4-wheel drive to go up and watch the sunset over Hornsey's Bluff, which is just amazing. Watch the colours change from red to purple at the end of the day with some sparkling wine and some canapes. Now, I mentioned right at the top that the 2 properties combine together to form this fabulous 4-night itinerary, Vines to Mountains. So you can book this with any of the team at First Path Holidays. They'll be able to help you with this and book this. But this is what we would recommend. So you arrive in Adelaide, go up to the Barossa Straths Estate, maybe the next day you head out on a full day wine tour, and then on the 3rd day your clients check out and then do that leisurely drive up to Hornsey Park Station. They could relax by the pool, settle in, do the sunset chase tour that evening, which is that evening tour with canapes and sundowners. On the next day, they could have breakfast in their villa and then maybe go out for a full day 4-wheel drive tour or a guided scenic hike, maybe ordering in a barbecue pack and cooking out on their veranda. And then on the last day, we do a most amazing breakfast walk. You get up before sunrise. It's a 3-hour walk, but you only walk for about an hour, and you stop, you watch the sunrise, and your guide cooks you breakfast over a campfire with billy can tea. And then you could your clients could return to Adelaide that day, maybe stopping at the Clare Valley on the way back for a spot of Riesling tasting and lunch. So that makes a really fabulous tour of South Australia. You could bolt onto that, visit to Kangaroo Island, or continue their journey across Australia. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're now leaving South Australia, And we're heading off up to Queensland to see the second destination that I want to talk about, which is Noosa. So I'm going to go through with you a short presentation on why Noosa is a must-visit destination for your clients. So just to remind you where we are, we're now here on the East Coast. Brisbane is our nearest international airport. Noosa is located just a 90-minute drive north of Brisbane, really accessible, highway all the way. We've also got our domestic airport, the Sunshine Coast Airport, which is just 30 minutes away. You can fly domestically from the major Australian cities into the Sunshine Coast. They also have a connecting flight down to Auckland as well, which could be useful for you. On the left-hand side of the screen here, I've just put this map of Noosa. Noosa, whilst most people think of it just being this area here, which is the sort of the main centre of Noosa, it's actually an entire shire or county, as we say here. So it takes in the countryside area. It also takes in the Great Sandy National Park and goes right the way up to Rainbow Beach and Double Island Point. So Noosa is actually a huge area, and there's so many unique things that you can only do in this part of Australia, which is why it's a must visit destination. So what makes it so special, its points of difference, is that it is basically an authentic Australian experience. Noosa is the place where Australians come to holiday. So by sending your clients to Noosa, they can really immerse themselves and really experience the sort of coastal vibe that is Australia. It's got an amazing community there of lovely locals. It really is the place where you're going to pass somebody in the national park with a surfboard on their arm. They're going to say good day. So you need to go there just for that reason, but it's more than that. We're very, very concerned about the environment in Noosa and have been for a very, very long time. So all of our buildings are low rise. If any of you went there maybe 30, 40 years ago, you'd come back today, you really would see that hasn't changed a great deal at all. We're very protective of our nature. 46% of our land is actually protected land. We also prioritise local labels over the big brands, so you're not going to find any of the super big brands in Noosa itself. And it's also home to lots of the renowned Australian designers, artists. We get a lot of hatted chefs and food producers. Now, if that's not enough, we're also the first UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in Queensland, and I'll talk a little bit more to that in a moment. We're a World Surfing Reserve. We've got stunning natural assets. It is somewhere where you're going to see all of the big wildlife that you come to Australia in the wild to see. We've got amazing weather all year round, and we've got some iconic day tours that your clients can do. So it really makes Noosa the perfect base. I mentioned the biosphere. So a biosphere basically is recognition from UNESCO about how man is managing to live in harmony with the environment. So we're recognised and have been recognised for nearly 30 years for maintaining this balance between community and develop. And to that end, as I said, over 40% of our land is protected. We've got 40% of all Australian native bird life, as well as over 637 animal species that your clients can see, and 65 distinct ecosystems. On the right hand side of the screen, we've got an aerial shot of sort of what is considered to be the main Noosa Centre, and you can just see here our national park in the background. But what I really want to show you here is how coming to Noosa, you're surrounded by green and blue. So you've got national parks, there's two, the Noosa National Park and the Great Sandy National Park, both really easily accessible. You've got all of the countryside area, you've got the ocean, and then you've got this immense river system. It really is a very unique and special part of Australia. Just to add into that, we are aiming to be Australia's first EarthCheck certificated destination. So it's basically leading the way for the management of tourism and looking after the sort of the ecological importance of the destination. I mentioned wildlife. So Noosa is somewhere where you can see kangaroos. There are hundreds of kangaroos in our in Noosa and up at the Everglades. We have koalas and bush turkeys in the national park. You can literally walk off Hastings Street and spot those. You can spot all of the marine life there, from dolphins to stingrays to turtles, as well as 40,000 humpback whales that migrate north between July and October. And as I mentioned, also a plethora of bird life. I'm not going to talk specifically about accommodation. The team at First Class Holidays can help you with that. You can see some properties pointed out here: Peppers, Sofitel, which is a hotel, Rise, and apartment blocks. But what I wanted to show you here was just to zoom in on Noosa Centre, if you like. So we have this beautiful beach here, Main Beach, Little Cove here. And then I mentioned one of our USPs is the fact that our national park is completely accessible. So there's actually a boardwalk, so covered wooden slats that lead off Hastings Street, and you can walk into the national park. You can actually walk all the way around. You can just make out the trail here, and you can see this arrow pointing down to the main beach here. You can actually walk all the way around, stopping at different lookout points, watching surfers, spotting the dolphins, the turtles, or if you happen to be there between July and October, the 40,000 humpback whales that migrate north. You can stop at lots of points and spot those. It's a free activity for your clients to do. Tell them all to do it. Come into the national park, spot the koalas, spot the wildlife, and if they're up for it, tell them to walk all the way down to Sunshine Beach here. 5.4 kilometres, takes a couple of hours, stop for a beer in the surf club or one of the many restaurants and bars here, and then just get an Uber or a bus for virtually nothing back into Noosa. It's a great activity. And just to show you the river area, if you stand at the bottom of Hastings Street, this is the Sofitel Hotel. If you turn around the other way, then you're facing the Noosa River. And again, the banks of the Noosa River are lined with lots of accommodation. There's loads to do if people are staying down here. You can take kayaks out, sunset cruises, you can take out barbecue boats, lots of restaurants and bars. And there's also a ferry that goes up and down the Noosa River that people can buy a pass for, and they can hop on and hop off. And Ali, who is the product manager who just introduced us, she was literally in Noosa just a couple of months ago. So she is on hand to answer any of your Noosa questions. Now, in terms of what your clients will do when they're up in Noosa, there's lots of must-do activities, and one of them is to come up to the Noosa Everglades. So this is the Everglades system. There are two Everglades systems on planet Earth, one in Florida, the other here in Noosa in Australia. It's a 25-minute drive-ish away from Noosa. You can just make out Noosa up there at the top of the picture. And then this is the beginning of the Noosa Everglades system. Now, our Everglades system is really, really ecologically important. It is also called the River of Mirrors, and that's because the trees that line the banks emit tea tree oil into the water, and that's what gives it that reflective nature. It also has sort of medicinal qualities, and because there's nothing nasty in our waters at all, any of our waters, you must tell your clients to bring their swimmers and go for a swim, because it's really lovely. So there's lots of ways your clients can visit Noosa Everglades. They could, if they've got a car hire, they can self-drive up. There's a bistro there. They can hire kayaks and little tinny boats and take them out. They could also book a self-guided kayak tour with canoe capers, or they could join an Noosa Everglades Eco Safari tour, and they do a morning tour and an afternoon tour. So they've got eco boats, and they go out with the guide, and he tells you all about the importance of the area, spots the bird life, stops, you have some time to go into the rainforest, and they pick up at various different points around Noosa from all the different accommodation points and do this return shuttle to Noosa. So a visit to Noosa Everglades system is really important. Another great day trip to do is to go out with Epic Ocean Adventures. So they do a variety of different day tours. So they pick up again from various hotel locations across Noosa. And then if you see this little four-wheel drive here, they do this four-wheel drive. It's called the Great Sandy National Highway through the Great Sandy National Park. So they literally drive along the beach all the way up to Double Island Point. So Double Island Point is a place that's really, really lovely, perfect point breaks. It's part of us, Noosa being awarded that National Surfing Reserve. So it's a great place to learn to surf, to stand up paddleboard, and to kayak. Now, Epic Ocean Adventures have got a whale license. So if you're there between July to October, they'll take you out on these kayaks and you will get so close to the whales. It's absolutely incredible. But even if you're not there at that time of year, you go out on the water and you are guaranteed to see 7 species of turtles, you'll see dolphins, manta rays, and thousands of soldier crabs all along that empty surf beach. It includes refreshments. It takes about 6 hours, and it's a really fantastic tour to do. Another option for your clients is to go out with Joel. So Joel's Journey offers private, shared and bespoke tours. So he does a variety of different tours. He is shown here. He's a young Aussie guy. He is the most amazing raconteur. He tells so many stories, and he was also awarded silver in the National Guiding Championships and also TripAdvisor's Traveller's Choice Award. So you can be guaranteed that if your clients are looking for someone to give them lots of information about either Noosa. He does a secret Noosa tour. He does a tour up to Rainbow Beach. He does another tour down to the Merry Valley Rattler and one to Australia Zoo. Joel's Journey is an amazing day out for people to take part in. And then on our doorstep, literally north of Noosa, up at Rainbow Beach, you can get the ferry across to Gari or Fraser Island, which is the world's largest sand island. So this is totally accessible as a day trip from Noosa. There's various different companies that do it. And basically, you leave Noosa quite early in the morning, normally about 7 o'clock in the morning, again, picking up from various points. You're up to Rainbow Beach and crossing over onto Gari by around 9 o'clock in the morning. You stop there, you have some morning tea, you spot dingoes, you go for walks in the rainforest. You'll go to be able to do a swim in Burungora, which is this salt lake right in the middle of the island. They'll tell you all about the significance for the Aboriginal people. They'll do guided walks. You'll go and see the shipwreck, for example. You'll have a chance to drive along the 75-mile beach highway, which is another beach highway. It's just an amazing day tour. And again, your clients shouldn't miss going to Gari when they're coming out to Australia. And then there's loads of other activities, from learning to surf or go ride a wave to going out on the Noosa Ocean Rider, which is a jet boat. So there's certainly a lot to do. So our recommendation is base your clients in Noosa, have them arrive, settle into their accommodation, maybe spend the afternoon in the national park. On their second day, we would 100% advise that they have a day up at the Everglades area. And then on their third day, maybe they'll do one of the drives along the Great Beach Drive or Epic Ocean Ventures. Fourth day, they could go out with Joel's Journey on one of his tours or have a day in Noosa. And then their fifth and maybe final day, they could do that day trip up to Gari. They could then extend their trip up to Lady Ayalew Island, or you could return to Sunshine Coast Airport and fly them domestically to Kansas, for example, for the Great Barrier Reef, or down to Sydney, or they could just drive back down to Brisbane and continue their journey from there, maybe to the Whitsunday Islands. So I hope that that's really helped you understand what Noosa has got on offer and how you could fit Noosa into an itinerary. For sure, when they're in Australia, they're going to meet people, and if they're told they're going to Noosa, every Australian will say, oh my goodness, I love Noosa. It's amazing. Lucky you. So it really is a bit of a gem of a place. As I said, 90 minutes away from Brisbane, that your clients should be experiencing. So that concludes my short trip around my clients, Rauncy Park Station, Barossa Straths Estate in South Australia, that combined together to make that perfect South Australia itinerary, and also why Noosa should be on everybody's itinerary. Thank you so much.